This house is no longer a home.
All the memories were here. I had a bunch of little kid memories. I swam here for the first time, everything, and it's just gone now. It's ruined.
Lil and I leveled. The roof ripped off. The garage gone.
We could actually hear the neighbors behind us screaming, crying, shock.
As the sun rose, the damage became clear.
Pretty much completely demolished.
It's wrecked. It's completely destroyed.
It looks like a house exploded.
A tornado that lasted just seconds left destruction felt for life.
Everything physical, it can be fixed, repaired, cut up like a tree, and everything like that, but you can't replace a life.
You're watching the moment a tornado tore right through a Cape Coral neighborhood. The EF1 twister hit the Northwest Cape early this morning, packing winds reaching nearly 100 miles an hour. The tornado destroyed homes, knocked out power, and sent cars flying. Thank you for joining us. I'm Devin Turk.
And I'm Cristina Mendez. Right now I'm in Cape Coral, one of the hardest hit areas of this tornado. If you take a look here behind me, you can actually see some of the workers boarding up a garage door. And if you take a look inside, that real garage door is actually pushed in with the force of those winds. Now take a look on my other side here if you can. That car that you see in the distance right before the canal bank, that was actually from across the street. It was picked up, neighbors tell me, and taken across the street now, crumpled up, almost like a sheet of paper would be. Now, before we get to our live team coverage, I want to go ahead and check in with First Alert meteorologist Matt Gray.
Thank you, Cristina, and the really scary situation that unfolded this morning. Thankfully, tonight, things are looking a whole lot better. In fact, we've even seen in many areas a lot of blue sky this afternoon. All of this related to what was Tropical Storm Nestor and is now post-tropical cyclone Nestor. Now, really, to you, that really doesn't mean all that much. This was just a structural change, and this, by the way, will be the last advisory on Nestor by the Hurricane Center. We'll show you that coming up in a minute, but look at this. All of the sunshine and some dry air beginning to track towards southwest Florida. So we are almost in the clear of the impacts of what once was a pretty powerful tropical storm and now a powerful non-tropical system. However, there are still some storms hanging around the area. We have one shower that has just moved through the Moorhaven area, and we're also tracking a little bit of rain. It's moving right over Orange Tree. Everything moving very quickly tonight. And luckily, at least for now, we don't see any signs of rotation in these cells. We're also going to be keeping an eye on this last line of showers tracking towards the southwest Florida coast. We'll show you when it gets here coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Matt, we have live team coverage as Nestor sweeps over southwest Florida. I do want to start here with Victoria Wresilo. She's live in Cape Coral to show us some of that damage in a neighborhood close by to me. But first, I want to start with NBC2's Alex Howard. Alex, I understand you have an exclusive walkthrough of a home that was directly hit by this tornado.
Well, that home has since been boarded up, but I do want to show you this car. It was blown almost like a tumbleweed more than 100 feet from where it was originally parked. You can just see the path of destruction here, broken branches, marked up lawns, and it actually didn't come from this driveway, but the one beyond it. And as you can see right now, crews are working to get power restored to this house. That garage right there, the windows caved in, and the family tells me that home at this point, it's been condemned. It's unlivable. And they actually were home at the time when the tornado hit and had to take shelter in the room from broken glass. A trail of destruction in Northwest Cape. This neighborhood left devastated.
I've worked a million hurricanes in the past since '91, and you see things like this, once in a while. And this is definitely evidence of a tornado just hitting that car.
Cameron Aegis and his mother drove early this morning to find his grandfather's home on Van Buren torn to pieces.
All the memories were here. I had a bunch of little kid memories. I swam here for the first time, everything, and it's just gone now. It's ruined.
Fortunately, he wasn't home.
I mean, if he was here, he probably would be not so good right now because the house is totaled.
Across the canal, a family not nearly as lucky. Too shaken up to talk on camera, but allowed NBC2 inside their home.
That's where the little boy's room
Where they once cooked family dinners, now gone. A perfectly placed piece of glass wedged into the drywall, right above where children slept. A clear view of the sky, all their belongings tossed around, their car crumpled like a tin can.
People could have just been out here walking around looking at some of the effects, and the car could have literally hit them. That simple.
Now, this is just a view of the backyard, and as I said before, this house has been condemned. You can see all the boarded up windows, and tonight the family tells me they're staying with relatives. Live in Cape Coral, Alex Howard, NBC2.
Alex, what was the family doing during this when it was happening? You can see that it's roped off there around you. This was serious damage while they were inside there.
Yes, actually, they were sleeping at the time when this hit, and they tell me they had to take shelter in one of the side rooms here to shelter themselves, basically, from all the flying glass that was here. Definitely a very scary situation that happened in here in Northwest Cape. Live in Cape Coral, Alex Howard, NBC2.
Thanks, Alex. Now, all of this happened within a couple blocks of each other. If you can pull up an animation so we can walk through this together, let's give you some perspective here. This shows the path of the tornado. You can actually see it wasn't fully formed for too long. It just stayed alive just long enough to come crashing through this neighborhood. Now, let's go to NBC2's Victoria Wresilo. She's live on the corner of Northwest 26th Place and Northwest 26th Street. Victoria, even if your home dodged a direct hit from this thing, it doesn't seem to matter.
Cristina, if you look behind me, this is just one of the many damaged lanais in this neighborhood, but we're actually going to show you a bird's eye view. So we're going to take you up into the air. This is a look from our mass camera on top of our live truck. You can see at least 4 homes covered by blue tarps after shingles were completely ripped from their roofs. Today I spoke with a father who not only had a damaged lanai, but woke up to shattered glass.
If I had been in the passenger seat, I probably wouldn't be here right now.
Piercing his front windshield.
The only thing I can assume is it has to have been picked up like a long shot arrow. I mean, just up in the air, straight over and down.
Jamie Day says the tornado's noise woke him up, but then he heard something even worse.
Screaming, crying, oh my God, my house is gone.
His neighbors screaming in the dark.
A little scary, I mean, to be honest with you. I mean, at that point, that's when you start yelling out, like, is everybody okay? Because this first thought going through your head is that, you know, somebody's been injured or lost their life.
As the hours went on, more damage was revealed at Day's home on Northwest 20th Terrace.
A little bit of a debris field through here.
Pieces of tile ripped through Day's lanai.
I mean, obviously, it's got to be rebuilt first and then rescreened from there.
Metal, wood, screens, and mailboxes scattering the entire neighborhood.
I have people's personal belongings scattered through my backyard. There's pieces of, vinyl albums. I mean, I've got somebody's gate in my yard, an old baseball mitt. I found a lawnmower blade.
Day and his neighbors are now left cleaning up, stuck without power, as his daughter gets ready for homecoming.
Well, we're going to try to continue and do our hair and makeup at someone else's house.
Day is left looking at the damage, but grateful they're all walking away from it.
Everything physical, it can be fixed, repaired, cut up like a tree, and everything like that, but you can't replace a life.
Now, for the man who has that piece of wood straight through his car windshield, you just saw it. He doesn't expect an insurance team to come out to see that until earliest Monday, up until Thursday. And he tells me that LCEC says he's not going to get power back until Monday either, because what happened, the damage from the tornado actually destroyed a meter box that was on the top of his roof, and they need a special permit to fix it. So he's going to be without power at least for the next 24 hours. I'm live in Cape Coral tonight, Victoria Wresilo, NBC2.
Make sure you download our NBC2 weather app for free. That's the fastest way to keep up with all the latest information about Nestor. Plus, you can track storms in your neighborhood with the power of Southwest Florida's only live Doppler radar right from the palm of your hand. NBC2 issued a severe first alert warning this morning to residents, and now you can count on us to follow up as residents start to clean up this mess. And a surprise announcement from a Southwest Florida congressman that may explain his recent comments.
From your Cape Coral News team, a truck exploded right near a house. TikTok user Bailey Morley123 sent us this video. They took it on Northwest 25th Lane and El Dorado Boulevard North. Now, police do say that the fire does not appear to be suspicious. They were able to put it out before it made its way to the house. And an SUV slammed into a palm tree in Cape Coral. That driver now in the hospital. It happened this afternoon on Rose Garden Road. Now, the driver was the only person in that car. They did suffer moderate injuries. Firefighters had to pry the driver's side door open to pull them out of that vehicle. And Cape Coral police arrested 2 people after a hit-and-run rollover crash. The car went off the road on Hancock Bridge Parkway. It hit a mailbox and destroyed a planter box as it flipped over. The pair then left the scene. The car later found on Southeast 5th Avenue. Police say that the driver was impaired. And from your Charlotte County News team, a death investigation in Charlotte Harbor. Forensics investigators were spotted on scene. This is right near the base of the bridge on Melbourne at 41. CCSO does confirm one person was found dead inside that truck. Their death is not considered suspicious. Congressman Francis Rooney confirmed to NBC2 that he's not running for re-election next year. Rooney's office told NBC2 on Wednesday that he was running despite raising only $605 for his re-election campaign in the third quarter. State Representative Dane Eagle says that he would consider running for Rooney's seat. Rooney also said this week he believed that there was quid pro quo during President Trump's phone call with Ukrainian president.
I'm Cristina Mendez, live in Cape Coral, where an EF1 tornado touched down. I just spoke with a family who says that they heard what was a freight train ripping through their living room.
And that tornado was not the only one that Nestor produced over the last 24 hours. Multiple tornadoes confirmed across the state of Florida. Coming up, we'll talk about our severe weather risk for the rest of the night and for tomorrow.
From your Collier County News team, the Naples Pier back open tonight. The city did close the pier earlier today because of those high winds. City leaders said that the safety is their top priority. And a thunderstorm blew this fence over in the Port of the Islands community in Collier County. Michelle Ann sent us this photo in from the Port of the Island community. This is the wind damage that was sustained in that storm. Now, if any part of your neighborhood sustained damage and you want us to see it, send in your photos and your video to the NBC2 Facebook page. Plus, check out this cool video from the hurricane hunters. They flew right through Nestor last night. This is when it was still a tropical storm. Now, Nestor has since been reduced to a post-tropical storm, but Matt, we saw a whole lot of damage from it today.
Yeah, and we had talked for the last couple of days as Nestor was forming and then approaching that most of the worst of the weather was going to be far, far away from the center of the storm. And the center of the storm right now, right over Tallahassee, continued to weaken since it made landfall at about 2 o'clock as this post-tropical cyclone. 40-mile-an-hour sustained winds on the east side of the storm and quickly moving off to the north. Pretty stormy conditions, as you can see in these colors. Those are the tops of thunderstorms over the state of Georgia. So when you have a post-tropical system, you have this big curly Q type of shape, this big comma shape, and there's some dry air coming in behind this. So we're about to see some much nicer weather, but we have to get through still a little bit of rain before that happens. Now, the track for Nestor, this is, by the way, the final track put out by the Hurricane Center. It's not going to be a tropical system, but it will still have tropical storm force winds as it moves through the Carolinas tomorrow. Speaking of winds, the problem that we had with our tornado threat both this morning and as we've gone throughout the day is winds at the ground level, and then the difference between that and the winds higher up in the atmosphere in these colored lines here. You notice they're coming in a little bit catty-corner to each other, so that creates a little bit of spin as air rises up into these thunderstorms. And that was the problem, though, especially that we had this morning. These winds, this bank of winds here is going to be moving off, and so our tornado threat is continuing to diminish. It's already a lot less than it was this morning, but it's going to drop to pretty much zero as we head into tomorrow. As for tomorrow, well, we're still going to have some rain in our forecast, but things are looking looking a lot better as we see a lot of dry air being pushed in on the backside of Nestor. Speaking of which, we still have some showers and storms out there. Let's track them for you. First of all, we're not seeing any big signs of rotation in that last line far out in the Gulf of Mexico. It's moving fairly slowly at about 14 miles an hour as we head late into tonight in the 9 to 10 o'clock hour in Charlotte County and the barrier islands of Lee County. That's when these little squalls are going to be moving in. There will be some gusty winds inside these showers, but we're not anticipating anything nearly as strong as what we've seen earlier today. So particularly for Placida, Pirate Harbor, and the rest of Charlotte County, you'll want to watch, keep an eye on these storms. Use our NBC2 weather app if you are planning to head out this evening. So wet weather moving north of Orange Tree, side-swiping Immokalee and Ave Maria over the next hours. It's going to be tracking towards Felda and Key Rye by 7 o'clock. If you're in that area, you're going to see a little bit of rain. But once again, these are way less severe than what we have seen earlier in the day. So we're on the backside of this thing, and our severe weather threat continues to diminish. Still some wet weather around Golden Gate Estates, moving away, however, from the Royal Palm Hammock area. So over the next half hour, Golden Gate Estates, more rain in your area. If you're watching us from Buckhead Ridge or along Highway 78 in northern Glades County, this is a pretty strong little cell. This is going to be tracking towards you between now and about 7:21 in the Okeechobee and Buckhead Ridge areas. There's still plenty of moisture trailing in behind this system. And so what we're going to see, you can see by 9 o'clock, Port Charlotte area, Cape Hayes Peninsula will end up with a little bit of rain. And then if you're in Naples to Marco Island to Everglades City and Golden Gate Estates, basically most areas in Collier County, we're going to be calling for more rain in your communities as we head into tomorrow, particularly tomorrow morning. There's still plenty of moisture that's tailing behind Nestor, trying to work its way up towards the center of the storm. So there's still going to be rain tomorrow, but there's going to be a lot of sunshine in between that. Your best chance of rain from Naples to the south. Elsewhere, a little windy to start off our day, but things are going to get better and better as the day goes on. Overall, it is a lot nicer of a Sunday than it was today on Saturday, and we won't have all that much of a severe weather risk, if any, especially for those of you north of the Caloosahatchee. 90 degrees to start off our week as we get back to normal weather around here.
Well, I did just speak with a family who lives nearby here, and they just watched that security video that they happened to catch, and they were telling me they expected it to be something like what we would see on the movies, some massive tornado that moves very slowly. This wasn't it. It was almost like a ghost. It moved so quickly through this neighborhood, but it left a lot of damage behind, and it essentially collected items from people's homes and then just plastered them all over this yard. This home did experience some significant damage, but luckily the homeowner wasn't here. But what we did find were some of his personal items just lying on the ground. This is White Christmas, and this is Frank Sinatra here. You can tell that he did appreciate some older records here, and that's not all that's around here. Take a look here behind me. If you take a look at that car, that was actually across the street from where we are right now. It's all crumpled up, and it just stopped where a canal bank ends.
He's crying, literally crying, like, Daddy, get up.
Our protectors know best.
Because I told him to go back to his bed, but he keep pulling my hand off the bed.
Caesar was trying to warn his owner of what was to come.
You know, I'm used to explosions and whatnot, but this was different.
As a veteran serving in the Marine Corps for 20 years,
you have no way of reacting or taking cover, nothing.
This was something he never experienced.
I walked into the bedroom, the loud explosion, the whistling train-like song.
This is the tornado that he heard from inside his home. His neighbor, Roberta Mori, caught it all on her security cameras.
Just fast forwarding through the camera, and you just happen to see this whirlwind come through and realize that it's the reality of an actual tornado, which is pretty amazing to see.
The damage it left in its wake, hard to see.
And it could have been worse. We could have been flying with the angels, you know, so that was, you know, really scary.
What's really sad about this specific car is that I was talking to the person's neighbors. They didn't feel comfortable talking on camera, but they did say that they took a lot of pride in this vehicle, and you can see it's a total loss. We'll be right back.
Well, for the first time this season, it's a hockey night in Estero. Tonight, the Florida Everblades meet the Norfolk Admirals in the Blades home opener. The puck drops inside Hertz Arena at 7, and the game is already sold out. NBC2's Sean Barry already inside Hertz Arena. We'll be back here to break down the game tonight during the 11 p.m. newscast. We'll be back right in a couple minutes with a look at our final forecast.
Final update to your forecast tonight. We're not quite done with Nestor just yet. Some inland showers. Luckily, things do not appear severe at this time, but if we need to, we will break back into programming this evening if we do start to see some rotating storms. Now, for the rest of the night, otherwise, we'll see some scattered rain. Conditions looking a lot better tomorrow, even with some showers.
Go off me and walk.
A wake-up call in Cape Coral. An EF1 tornado, winds of 95 miles an hour, ripped right through the city just about 7 this morning.
The tornado tore through about a mile of northwest Cape Coral, and this is what it left behind in its wake early this morning. Before we leave you tonight, a look at the damage and how the people here all say the same thing after it caught them by surprise. It could have been a lot worse.
7 o'clock this morning, we heard a train whistle, rushed through here. The alarm went off in the house. We figured it was just a shaken window.
There's glass everywhere.
I'm not going to be able to go to homecoming.
I've got somebody's gate in my yard, an old baseball mitt. I found a lawnmower blade.
All the memories were here. I had a bunch of little kid memories. I swam here for the first time, everything, and it's just gone now. It's ruined.
It's just a car. My kids are good and my kids are healthy. My wife's okay and my dogs are okay and my mother-in-law's okay. So, it could be a lot worse.